Hello, welcome to today's edition of Pegasus Test. On today's edition, we're going to cover Stage 2, Desert Brutality 2019, Office Space. Stage 2 was really challenging. Well, to be honest, all the stages were really challenging, but this one presented a lot of targets that you just don't normally see in your normal shooting practice. On this stage, you started off using your pistol, and you faced what was called a Polish plate rack, which is a bar with 4 plates on each side. Now the thing is this, as plates start to fall off, it starts to spin. And when you knock the first plate off, you're like, oh, that's not too bad, but it spins, and then there's weights on each end of this rack that fall off, which increase the speed. And depending on how the sequence you take the plates off, you can either increase the speed or decrease it. So not only is this plate rack a challenge because the targets are moving, you also have to plan about how you knock the plates off. I did it in one magazine, 15 rounds. I'm sure there's people that did it better, but it was pretty challenging. One of the main reasons that made it a challenge is this is not a type of target you encounter on a regular basis. In your normal training, you don't ever really see this. I had never seen one before. And this is one of the beauties of Desert Brutality. They're challenging you by exposing you to things you don't see normally. So once you cleared this plate rack, you then went through a tunnel that led into a building, hence the name Office Space. And you immediately went to a bay that had 2 what they called MOA targets. And basically you had to hit these targets at a certain spot in the center, and impacting that center spot would cause the head portion of the target to flip up, which then you had to knock down. And then once you engaged 2 of those, you put your pistol into a box, crossed over a desk, or in my case fell over a desk. Enjoy the video, you're going to love laughing at that. And then you had to engage a Texas Star. Now the first time I'd ever encountered a Texas Star was in Desert Brutality 2018, but I know there tend to be a common thing in matches, just they don't show up in the ones I get to go to. This year I encountered my second Texas Star, and lo and behold, you had to engage it through a VTAC barricade. And in addition to engaging through the VTAC barricade, you got 1 shot per port, whether you hit it or not. You put your pistol through the port, you fired. Hit or no hit, you moved on to the next port. Now, I lucked out. I was the last guy in my squad to shoot this Texas Star. This was the last stage for us over 2 days. Even though it's stage 2, it was technically our last stage. And this kind of worked in my favor a little bit because the target was getting pretty well hammered at this time, and I lucked out. Every time I put my gun through the port, I pulled the trigger, I hit a plate. On the 3rd time I put my gun in the port, on the 3rd port, I hit a plate and managed to knock 2 of them off. So I cleared a 5-target Texas Star in 4 shots. Very lucky for me. At that point, I had to clear the pistol, holster up, and go through a small obstacle course that really wasn't that much, but it was enough to slow you down. Once you got through there, you were in the final bay of the indoor portion, and there was just another one of those MOA targets there you had to engage. This one was kind of frustrating. It took me 3 rounds because I hit the center target the first time, as you'll see, but it wasn't enough to make the head pop up. However, the 2nd hit got the head up, 3rd hit got the head down. Then I moved over to the rifle section. There's not much of the rifle section on the video because I did time out before completing it, but basically in a nutshell, there was a plate rack down at the end of the bay. 6 plates up. You had to engage a plate from each position. So go to the first position, I get the plate down, I go to the 2nd position. The 2nd position is made very tough because it has a very small firing port you have to fire through. And this is where one of the cases where an AR is not the best because of its high offset sights. I had to tilt the gun and I just wasn't getting the point of aim, and that's where I timed out. A couple other guys in our squad were running SIG 551 series rifles, had low sight plane to bore axis, and they were able to keep the gun upright and did better for them in the hit ratio. Anyways, check out the video. This was a fun and challenging one. We're going to show you GoPro footage of my run first, and then we're going to show you footage of another competitor for compare and contrast.
Shooter, are you ready? Stand by. Come on, Les. There you go. There you go. One more.
Nice.
Nice. luck. There you go.
Pocket, put in the box.
Oh, whoa, whoa. There we go.
I hope you got that on film.
Oh, yeah.
One shot per pork. Alright, one shot per pork.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Nice. No one can do that. Go, 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 go.
Ditch it somewhere?
There you go. Nice.
Go, 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 go. Oh, there's a hat.
Yeah. Hey, you made it that far. You got 30 seconds? Is that what you said?
Hi.
Hit!
Hi!
Puzzle down range. Get your feet in the box.
Get your feet in the box.
Low.
Hi.
I was right about our 6 being the perfect size, just softened it really.
Oh, yeah. You're high and left.
Try that. Man.
Right side of the plate.
Stop, stop.
Nice!
Almost.
Nice.
Okay, unload.
On deck or something?
In the hole. You set?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ready as I'm gonna be.
Alright. Shooter, are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by.
No, fuck you. Why?
Pick one of the targets that you
Yeah.
already took.
Wyoming?
Yeah.
What part? Rollins. Rollins? Okay, I'm from Virginia.
Take that center one.
Right down the road.
Why? Come on.
Just under it.
This is my nightmare.
There you go. It's coming down for you.
Am I going under it or?
It looks like you're going up. There you go.
Yeah, hurricane, as the locals call it. Hurricane. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that one did not come up as much as I expected it to.
Nope. Try to hit that solo one on one side.
Solo?
I'm not native. I moved there a year and a half ago, but I moved there from New
You're under
Mexico and they're from Florida, Indiana. They're from Missouri.
Still low.
Sinclair Refinery.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this. Why is
Shooting low under him.
Am I? Okay. Thank you.
It's not more than anything else.
Right.
Dude, it's the most expensive.
The
Low
refinery
right.
has no control over the franchise. I gotta say.
I cannot figure out why. You'd think it'd be cheaper,
High.
but it's definitely not.
It's like a station.
Yeah, use that trigger. Don't rush it.
Four refineries. They all ship it out of state. There's not
Low.
much of a market for
Low. Pull that trigger.
all
Way
over.
back. There you go. Low. There you go.
I gotta
Slide, slide.
Oop.
I didn't see. Alright. Holster. Okay, go,
Almost
go,
went
go,
to
go, go.
180.
180. There's a couple bucks a month.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I was getting that place.
It's like, well, I'm center.
Focus on that center. Low. There you go. Head.
go out on the list.
Alright, put your hot. weapon there?
There's a nut break. Okay. I was thinking about it today. It's like the component of it.
Okay, next port, next port, next port, move port.
I haven't been to that one. That's one SOT there.
As you can see, stage 2 was very challenging, as literally all the stages here at Desert Brutality turned out to be. These stages really make you test your mental ability. They also test your shooting skill, because when you finish shooting a target, before you can move to another area, you had to either A, clear your pistol and get verification it was cleared from the RO, or B, you had to ground your rifle safely or handgun safely. So you had to be thinking on the ball, because failure to follow these rules, if they didn't DQ you automatically, you were going to take a procedural area, and that was going to rack up 60 seconds. In this one, failure to complete the course of fire before I ran out of par time, which was 3 minutes, caused me to rack up 5 penalties, or 5 minutes in penalties, because I didn't clear that plate rack at the end. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to Pegasus Test. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and tune in for Stage 3 of Desert Brutality, Unusual Engagements.